I'm just going to give you a little story of the stone. The truth is like a stone that a great sculptor happened to cross while walking with some of his pupils. He set to carve it for them as they walked and he talked, but his knife was not sharp enough. So he held on to it and moved on. That night, he set his instruments about it, his knives, his chisels, his grinders, the new ones, his old ones, and he could not so much as scratch that stone. He cursed it, but was determined to shape it, to bring form to it. I'll heat it up, and then I'll be able to mold it. Now he had a large hearth for just such things. He made a fire and made it larger and larger, but the stone would not bend. The stone grew so hot that everything he used to capture it began to melt as soon as he touched it. His determination to impose his will upon the stone raged hotter than the fire. So he fueled it a little more, and he burned his entire house down. For 3 days he wept, as the smoldering remains of what was his house began to cool. And in those days he humbled himself and withdrew his anger. He thought to himself, I will keep this stone just as it is. Now it was then that a man came by, accompanied by his small son. And the man began to tell him how he was an architect, building a bridge to unite 2 kingdoms across a great river, and he heard the sculptor was the best. But I'm a sculptor, not an architect or a stone worker, he said. And as you can see, I have nothing even to work with. Everything I have has been burned and is decimated. Well, yes, the man said, I see. You see, but it's just the cornerstone that we need. And at that moment, his son, who was rummaging through the rubble, said, Father, like this? And lo and behold, he holds up that stone. Now, of all the magnificent pieces that the sculptor formed, for none of his contributions was he famed more than the cornerstone that joined these 2 kingdoms. And that is the parable of the stone of truth.